Hey guys, hope you're all well. Welcome back to a new video. Obviously we get asked a lot of the times about substance, which I'm going to be making another video on straight after this. And also holding companies. A lot of people have seen my Gibraltar video. Now again, just to make this important, this is not for like tax residents of the UK or Australia with the ATO, for example. Simply, if you don't want to pay tax in the UK or Australia, quite frankly, leave the country. You can get an immigration lawyer to actually go ahead and do that. We can help you and consult you. Leave the country in a sustainable manner. And again, it's the most effective as possible. We have seen the potential exit tax in the UK that has been brought to topic. But in today's video, we actually focused on Gibraltar versus the BVI, which is the British Virgin Islands. And this is for holdings, okay? Now, I used to live in Gibraltar personally, and I'm very familiar with BVI as well. Okay, so let's just get straight into it on the head-to-head comparison. I've got a really simple bit of a document that was generated here for me. Again, this is going over corporate tax rates, the annual costs for substance requirements, tax treaty access for privacy, banking access, the actual perception, the OECD status, as well as the setup time, the crypto and the fintech use, and also the common use cases. Okay. Then we're going to go into when we use them and when not to use them. And again, the key risks to actually go through as well, right? And then begin to a verdict to finalize the video. So if this is your first time seeing me, I'm Will from HPT Group. Lovely to meet you. And as said, this is generally for people who have holdings, who live in, for example, the UAE, Monaco, Hungary. Sometimes we can work with Switzerland. It really depends on where you live. It does go on your personal tax residency. Again, this is just for educational advice, not legal advice at all. So first of all, corporation tax. Now, actually both are basically headline zero. We do see 10% on the income. Again, that's only on locally sourced from Gibraltar income. So again, if it is substance, you will be tagged into that category. But if there's no substance there, e.g. you'd have to be living in a place with no CFC rules, then obviously Gibraltar can be a fantastic holdings. Over on the BVI side, completely no tax, very simply speaking, okay? Annual costs with Gibraltar really depends on how much services you're actually buying there. Costs me about £1,200, £1,300 a year, as in BVI. It's just around £1,000 if you want me on actual truth. I use some great partners over in the British Virgin Islands, deal with them weekly anyways. Substance requirements, again, both yes, right? Especially in BVI, we've actually gone and seen the Economic Substance Act in 2018. Again, this is for holding pure equity. It's a much lower threshold. It's basically a few documents. But again, if it is an active income where it's actually trading as a company, right, then we can see some really big scrutiny come into the British Virgin Islands, right? As again, when we speak about Gibraltar, we can see obviously the director presence, the local management board meetings on the island, and that is the income tax and the BEPS guidance as well. In terms of treaties, limited on both, a lot more limited in British Virgin Islands. Again, depending on those DTAs and where you live, that's a complete another topic. I should probably really make a spreadsheet on all of the double taxation agreements as well around the world. Moving forward again on here, again, it's much more private in the British Virgin Islands compared to Gibraltar. Banking access is much better in Gibraltar, though. So again, you can start to use common sense and see the differences of, okay, there's less privacy but better banking, more privacy but much harder to bank with, right? Again, every banking case is case by case. Every bank, whether it's private banking or fintech, needs to really understand your cases as well. And again, it really depends on what you're looking to own. If you don't live in the UK but would like to own UK companies through an overseas holding, we potentially could be looking at Isle of Man or Gibraltar. But if you do live in the UK, then you cannot just simply set up a Gibraltar company. It will be taxed as a UK domiciled company, right? So that is a good fun fact right there. Okay, so don't think this is some tax avoidance scheme. First, again, setup time, BVI is much easier. Actually quite heavy compliance in Gibraltar. They were recently on the grey list a few years ago. When I was actually moving there, they just came off the grey list. And living area actually is taxed there. Just to make that clear as well. Again, currently they are, they've both been removed on the grey list, both not on any blacklist or grey list right now. And again, they are FATFA compliant as well, which is really good. In terms of crypto, Gibraltar, very strong. There's obviously the license framework. They can obviously get you, the vast licenses over there. It's one of the leading jurisdictions for crypto businesses. over in Gibraltar as over in BVI. That's not the case at all. Okay. Common use cases in Gibraltar is top tier holding co, crypto and fintech, family office, and the European nexus, right? As we look at BVI, it's essentially a passive investment holding, fund structures, IP holding, or a clean privacy layer, or even a sub holding co, where we have kind of seen with a lot of client structures as well. So when to use each one is very vast. And again, use Gibraltar. When you're looking for a very credible, running some crypto, you want a common law jurisdiction with UK-styled legal framework. You're comfortable with a public beneficial ownership, right? You need the genuine substance and for our actual defensible tax position, and top tier holding above BVI, above Hong Kong, above Cayman. As when we look at the BVI, you'll be using this for maximum privacy. You're holding passive equity stakes in operational companies. The speed of incorporation matters. Cost minimization is key. Don't forget we have a lot more accounting requirements with the GIBs as well, right? So when compared to the BVI, it's a much more lenient, space, right? And again, usually we see BVI paired with Cayman, Singapore, for example, especially in the fund management world. Is when we look at Gibraltar, it's just typically, owning companies in the UK, the US, Europe, XYZ, okay? The risks on both of them are quite similar, okay? So if we just look down here, we can see we have post-Brexit uncertainty. 10% tax applies, so the structuring does matter to actually get the exemption. The public register does remove the privacy, as I'm going to mention. Substance requirements are real. Normally, directors do not cut it, and it's a very small jurisdiction. There are some great companies over there. I work with some fantastic gentlemen in Gibraltar. Obviously, I used to live there, so very familiar with them. I used to go to their office for a coffee most mornings. They're really, really nice people as well. They're called Jibs, if you didn't know already. They do actually have a little Jib slang as well. And the BVIs are basically zero treaty network. Banking is increasingly difficult. And again, we can help with banking if you did obviously need help with banking, whether it's fintech or private banking. We're happy to obviously examine your case and see what conversations we can entertain within the banking sphere, right? Again, there is that Economic Substance Act and active income triggers those higher requirements of substance. Perception risks with some EU banks and counterparties potentially on exits could lead to tricky scenarios in the future if your holdings are in British Virgin Islands. And again, we have the BOSS register, which is non-public now, but it is all of these British havens are going in a massive direction of being much more transparent to keep off those grey and blacklists, right? So, GIB wins for crypto, fintech licensing, European banking relationships, credible top-tier holding, and a business needing a regulated, reputable domicile with genuine substance. As BVI is passive holding with privacy, fund structures, cost-sensitive setups, and clean intermediate layer beneath a Cayman or Singapore parent. And again, speed as well there. Speed is much easier with BVI. Yes, it can be slow on the island, but setting one of these up is pretty easy. Okay, so use both. As GIB is the top tier, POEM, residence, banking, credibility as BVI as the intermediate layer for privacy and flexibility. Common, very common in sophisticated structures that we have gone and seen all of last year, all the years before, and still this year today. BVI is still being used, especially more in the fund management space, So other than that, guys, I hope that really, really helped you distinguish. And I'm going to make a separate video on substance that we can typically see with holding companies, taking a Cayman Island company as a main example, what it can own, what substance you need, what pitfalls you can likely see as well. So other than that, guys, I will leave you to it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I love both jurisdictions. They're both amazing. Again, if you need any consultations, I'm here. You just have to apply down in the link below. But over and out, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Cheerio.